This is Don't Get Me Started. This is a conversation about advertising. And here is your host, freelance creative director and creative circus department head, Dan Balser.
Yes, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am, where are we, at the 17th floor looking east over Williamsburg in just this crazy apartment that evidently these guys are moving out of. I don't know, it's pretty sweet setup up here, but they're moving out of it. So as you know, we were talking to
Vignesh, Seshadri.
There you go, and
Kvas.
And it's interesting because evidently Vig's got a new job, like now, and Kat hasn't even started her new job yet.
No.
So we're up here talking. You guys might best know these two as the founders and visionaries behind the Young Shits competition, which, by the way, is people know about it. Like I have been mentioning it to people, and they know about it. Vig is actually now at Fig, an agency here in New York that is short for, I forget the whole name.
Figulio and Partners.
There you go, Figulio and Partners. And Kat's about to start a job over at Spotify, working in-house as a copywriter at Spotify. So thank you guys for inviting me up here to talk, first of all. It's good to get to know you and meet you. And, I've known you guys now for a good 7 minutes. So
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think this is, listeners, just heads up before we start. I don't have a plan. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know where this is going to go. I want to talk a little bit about the adjustment from school. These guys are relatively new out of school. They worked together at Droga 5 for 4.5 years as life partners and professional partners, which I think is interesting.
2 years, and then he worked there for
I kept on.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you've been there you were there longer.
Yeah, almost 5 years, and she...
I was at
So
BBDO.
yes.
Oh, you were at BBDO?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In between, yeah.
Oh, I see that. So what did you work on at BBDO?
I started working there mostly on Bacardi, and then they also got Macy's as a client, so I was working primarily on Macy's and Bacardi at the same time.
What is Macy's? Like, what do they do? Like, what kind of work do they do?
They do mostly films, or at least what we were working on there was mostly their film stuff. So like all the like seasonal big anthem films.
Right. So I walked by there. My hotel is unfortunately right by Macy's, which is probably like
That is unfortunate.
just the
That's the worst area.
The horrible. It's really convenient.
Yeah.
I got to walk to a lot of stuff, but there's a big truck circling Macy's, protesting like the owner's sort of.
Oh, really?
That he rides like jets to meetings, and like people are
Probably.
underpaid. It's so New York to see a truck that is basically just these screens that say "Shame on Macy's." With
really?
like a QR code where you can like hashtag and like go up against Macy's on the internet, and this guy, this big dude, just sits in this giant truck and circles Macy's all day long with this truck. Dude, I should show you. I'll show you the pictures of it. It's crazy. I don't want to. I'll show you later.
Okay.
But and then Vig's been over at Droga 5 until extremely recently. Headed over to Vig, and what attracted you to this move? Like, what was the bait at the end of that line that got you over there?
I mean, I have been looking to jump for a while now, but the right opportunity kind of showed up, and also people don't necessarily just give out visas that easily. Yeah. So it did take a while because of that. But Fig, we did know a bunch of people from Droga already, and like it seemed like a very small, tight, knit community, and it's very small. And I used to work in India at Leo Burnett, like back before I did Miami Ad School, and that was like 40, 50 people, and like it was so nice, and you knew everyone, and kind of missed that, I wanted to go back to that kind of life.
Just had a conversation with my last podcast guest about not wanting to go somewhere big, and we were having the conversation about that. Knowing yourself sometimes, knowing that an environment is small and you know each other, that you kind of have each other's backs, is you have a different mentality day to day than you do when you're in a big machine. I had the same thing when I worked at Ogilvy here in New York. I felt like if I didn't come to work, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, no one would. I mean, not that someone wouldn't have noticed, but it wouldn't have made any difference at the end of the day if I was there or not.
That is like what my boss at BBDO used to say. I don't know if I should say this, whatever. He used to be like, I feel like when we were on production somewhere, he'd be like, if I died right now, they would still keep making this commercial. Like, nobody would care. Like, it's a $4 million commercial. They're not going to, like, stop and be like, oh,
But having said that, though, what did you take away that was valuable from a BBDO and a Droga 5? Like, what do you think is the upside and the attractiveness to that for maybe a young person?
Well, actually, like the way BBDO was run, we worked on Bacardi and Macy's, which like with just our group. Like BBDO is very segregated, I guess. Like you work, it kind of felt like a small agency, even though you were in this like huge. Like I didn't know anybody outside of my team. It felt like it was basically just like the 15 creatives, and then the account people who were just assigned just to Macy's and Bacardi, and then my 2 ECDs. That was like basically all I worked with. But I guess it was good for stability, and it still is a huge, massive company, so you get those benefits, I guess, rather than...
Yeah, I've often said you could be at a concert at the Garden, and next to somebody you just strike up a conversation. It's like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a copywriter. Oh, I'm in advertising. Oh, yeah, me too. What do you do? I'm a copywriter. Oh, yeah, me too. Where do you work? Ogilvy. Oh, yeah, me too.
Yep.
The 250 creatives.
Yeah,
and you never met them before.
Yeah. No.
So what did you take away on the upside of your experience at Droga?
So, I mean, in contrast to what Kat said, at Droga 5, you did work on a bunch of projects and you kept jumping around. You kind of start to know more people as the more projects you work on. And like the more and more I realized is like you learn about the structure and the process of like how a project works, like more and more, and the more people you meet, you just learn how things are done right. And if you talk to other people outside of that agency, they just lack that structure of like this person is assigned to this, and like they just take care of that. You don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And like here in like
specifically like production.
Yeah, production, like project management, even creative. Like there in smaller agencies, you kind of have to like take up more of a responsibility. Right. So you kind of are more invested. So that's the plus side of a small agency. But in a large agency, you know that there's a specified person whose expertise is on that. There used to be a couple of people just to build decks.
Right.
In Droga 5, like, what? Like,
where did they go to school for that?
Exactly. Like, and like just for specific little things, they just started hiring people, and like, so you realize there's more like little details to every little thing, and you can push yourself on like every little aspect of what you're working on.
It's weird because when we started at Droga, it was not like that at all. When we started at Droga, it was, how many people were there? There were
like 150.
Yeah. The creative team was so small. We knew everyone we were working with. We like had gone around. We were interns, so we had gone around to like every creative pretty much and worked on like a project with every single one of them. And then when I left, it just like, I think it had tripled in size when I left.
Yeah, there's I wish I were one of these ad guys that could remember who said what, but I remembered some creative director, a famous person, talking about how we don't want to get too big. It's someone famous that said this.
Yeah.
And there's a science about the tribe size where once you get past 125, you start to like not know each other or have each other's backs.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
It's really fascinating. And I think that's why the big agencies can be successful, is what you're saying, is that when you feel like you're in this 22-person group or 15-person group, you really are an agency within an agency, and in a way that does work.
I think it did.
So what attracted you? Did you answer the question? What attracted you to Vig?
To Fig, yeah, I think
Fig,
it's just...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
And by the way, I
confusing.
just want you to know that I fucking practiced your last name. I rehearsed it.
Oh, it's
Seshadri.
Shashadri.
Yeah, I mean, I practiced it, and the microphone's going, and I'm like, Vignesh Sesha, blah blah blah, and it's like borderline racist to me not to be able to say your name. No, like I feel like a fucking asshole, and I'm leaving all of this in there because I want to own it.
You're gonna punish yourself.
Yeah, I am. I'm whipping myself in the back. I fucking practiced it. We had a student who's been on the podcast before, Natavut Likalpitak. He's Thai. It took me 18 months to learn how to pronounce the man's name. So whatever.
Sounds pretty good.
So yeah, he goes by Ooh, so he makes it easy on other people.
Yeah, like I shortened it to Vig because it's
Vignesh is nice. Vignesh is fine. It's easy. Okay, so
but I did when I said Vig to a Starbucks barista, they wrote it down as VAG, so it didn't end so well in that sense.
Or excellently.
Yeah.
really, really well. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So back to what so you guys are both in sort of a transitional phase right now professionally. So talk about what it was that sort of attracted you, not necessarily what it was that pushed you away, but what attracted you. What is it? Because I always tell students that you should be running to things, not away from things.
Yeah.
So what is it about Vig, and then I want to talk about Spotify, but what is it about the opportunity there that turned you onto it?
I mean, it's again like the small tribe mentality, like where you know people and like you kind of trust them and you kind of like feel like you own something and you make something and you like, that is mine. And it's not just like you work on a deck for like a week and then you send it in and you don't know what's happening.
Right. You didn't see what Vig was just doing. Like he was mocking typing, and then he pushed his left hand just off the table.
Yeah.
So it's type, push. It's very, very dismissive sort of.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this because I'm an automaton drone who writes things and sends them somewhere.
Yeah. The ad factory.
Yeah, and you hope that someone actually presented it well. And I mean, I remember those days.
Yeah, and like the clients got bigger and bigger, so the team got bigger and bigger, and because the client is more like high profile, you can't send like the less important people. Only the C-suite get to go to the meetings, so you're just like a cog in the system, and you just do your thing and you walk away.
I want to say that it's important to point out that this is not a tale of warning a student not to go to a big agency. This is not us sitting here saying like, don't do that because you're going to type and send it off, because there's a value to it, and you don't know what's important to you until you've done the thing that starts to identify your own desires and strengths and all that kind of stuff. You don't marry the first person you date. You learn from that and move. So I'm not here to sort of shit on big agencies.
No, and Droga's great for that because you can float and work on every single like client if you wanted to.
Yeah, like the good briefs sometimes come from big clients, but they're amazing briefs from like smaller clients which I loved working on Droga. That's the good part. Like I love Droga, and I had a bad, like, I don't know, I felt sadness leaving.
Right.
So it's not like
you're not celebrating.
Yeah.
All right. So, and Spotify, what's the job going to be there? Talk. I'm really curious to hear about opportunities in-house and what it was that attracted you to move. To that.
So the Spotify, my title is a associate creative director, but I'll be like, I'm still a copywriter there, and yeah, Vig and I had interviewed with Spotify actually while we were at Droga, because we were both kind of like looking at new opportunities while Droga was like multiplying in size. And we interviewed there, and we were like, oh, this seems great. Like I know Dan Brill, who's there now, and he was there at the time, and they had nothing but great things to say about it, and we were like, we could really see ourselves being here. Like, I think this is the right fit. And then it just didn't work out, which happens. And then I went to BBDO, and 2 years after that, they circled back. Actually, I think I circled back, which is a good lesson to be like, I reached out to
so when you say what about it didn't work out? There wasn't a job, or it wasn't? They
didn't hire us, basically. Which happens. I think we were still juniors at Droga, and I think they were looking for somebody a little bit more senior.
And I guess the visas might have been a issue as well.
Yeah, what the fuck does a visa cost? Like $5,000?
It depends on it
depends.
It's very complex. Like sometimes it could go through, and the lawyers might have to spend more time on it. And like
but they're not that expensive. Like in terms of what an agency can afford, I don't think
it'll usually be like 10 to 20K. I think.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Right.
But for a Canadian visa, it's like $50.
I guess it depends on nationality as well. So
it just didn't work out at the time. And then when I was starting to look for new opportunities, I had been at BBDO for 2 years working on Macy's and Bacardi, and I was like, okay, what else is there out there? And I reached out to a recruiter who worked at Spotify, or who still works at Spotify, but who used to work at Droga, so I knew her kind of. And then she was like, oh yeah, there actually is an opportunity at Spotify, like coming up in the new year, so I'll circle back. And then, she reached out again, and then I interviewed, and it worked out.
So you haven't done it yet, so I don't know if you can answer this, but the cliche, I haven't asked it yet, the cliche of like, sort of like, are you going to be okay, like only working on like one brand? Is that,
right.
Is that a discussion?
I mean, honestly, like at BBDO, I was only working on Macy's and Bacardi for 2 years. I've thought about that too, but I think I still don't fully know how the Spotify in-house agency works. Like I've asked, I spent like an hour with my new partner being like, okay, so how does it work? And he explained it all to me.
Dude, I hope the process doesn't drive you. I hope they have a process. I hope for your sake there's a process.
Yeah, I think there is. I think it's one of those things that you have to go there and like see how it works, because I still have no idea. But it seems like there's a process. It seems like they kind of switched, like they're doing a lot of podcasts now, or they're trying to grow their podcast acquisition. So I think they're going to start marketing like in-house for podcasts, for artist albums, and then for also like in-house brands. So it feels like I'll be working, just not on Spotify itself.
Do they do brand advertising, and do they handle that, or is it an agency that handles it?
They also do brand advertising, although I think sometimes... No, can't talk about it. Okay, never mind. Yep.
Edited for clarity. Edited for legal clarity.
Like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind.
So, all right, let's talk about Young Shits. Let's talk about the reason. Listeners, I didn't even tell you this. Like, this connection came because Kat sent me an email, and it was very flattering, by the way. So the subject line was something like huge fans of DGMS or some shit like that. And they invited me to write for their webpage, which I've got you got to do it. In all fairness, I have a document with some notes in it.
Okay, you started.
Yeah, I started thinking about it. And I just thought it'd be great to talk. And like I said earlier, people do know Young Shits, but in case there's listeners out there, I'm sure there's 3 that don't know what Young Shits is. First of all, talk about what it is, where the vision came from, and then I have some other questions about it.
Yeah, definitely.
What is it? What's Young Shits?
Okay, I guess I'll give it a shot, and then if it doesn't work, you'll try to define it. So Young Shits is a advertising contest for students to make connections in the industry, because from our experience, all the other ad contests, although they're great, don't give you shit, because they give you a pencil or a lion that's...
We get a little line on your resume, but...
that one line, and like, sure, for people who get that one line, great, and you can have that little pencil on your desk, but it doesn't actually give you something tangible.
Right.
But like, even if your work is great, like you get the award, but do you know what was good about it? How do you build on it? Like you don't get anything back from that experience. And like from when we started at the New York advertising scene or whatever, we like talked to people. We went to like advertising festivals and like talked to random people and people, friends of friends, and got contacts, and that's kind of how we got hired at Droga 5. So we realized that getting contacts and knowing people is the major reason students get hired at Droga or at any agency for that matter.
Yeah, totally.
So
and rehired.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, we don't want to poop on advertising contests too much. Like I think like in all fairness, some ad contests do give you they give you an event where you can network with people. But what we found, because we were submitting to so many contests trying to get, because it's important for international students to do that, because you have a better chance of getting a visa. We found that it was very cold. Like
hold on. Better chance of getting a visa because you show expertise.
Yeah,
exactly.
For the O1, you need O1 is called Extraordinary Ability Visa.
Yep. Okay.
So outstanding ability. So you have to show all the awards.
You have to prove you have expertise in the field and that you've won awards. So, in doing that, when we were submitting to all these contests, we found that it was kind of cold, and that we weren't hearing anything back from the actual people who were judging. Like, they were all kind of big time like CCOs and CEOs who didn't really have time to give feedback. So
professional work or student work?
Student work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like, I remember in Miami, there was the ADC festival, and we made a conscious decision before the event started. We just took a couple of shots, and we were going to go and talk to every single person out there. Like we have to check off every single person out there. So that was our plan, and we went ahead and did that. Like, we achieved that goal, and like that definitely helped us a lot. But like, mostly because
you had to do it. You had to go do that.
We it's mostly because we were like talking to people, and like they were nice and friendly, and we kind of met them again in New York and whatever.
Yeah.
But like those were like not that high up, not C-suite, like CCOs who were judging the awards. It was more like the people who worked on the work and they came for like
Yeah.
receiving the award. So we're like a little lower, but they were still like very experienced and stuff. So those are the people who helped us.
Exactly. And that's true. Like, those are the people that are going to get you the job. It's not the CEOs, because they just can't. They just don't have the bandwidth.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does Young Shits work?
So every month there's a new brief from somebody in the agency who's like a CD or less. Like, basically what we say is they have 5 years of experience or less, but I don't think we really discriminate anymore. It's just someone who has the bandwidth to give you feedback, who's still like young in the industry, who will pay attention to your work, and who like knows who to talk to get you hired.
Yeah, and
So-
we also thought like the younger you are in the industry, you feel the struggle of a student, and you know how
that's
hard
great.
it is.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And like there's the other secondary reason is like if you recommend someone, you get a referral bonus at your agency too. So the student gets a great job.
Yeah.
You get like a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
But then the idea is too that when you submit, the winner gets like a one-on-one
Free beer on us.
private session with the judge, where the judge, like, they can ask them anything.
The judge is the person who submitted the brief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the judge will consider you to recommend you for a job if they really like your work, which they probably do because you won. And then the runners-up get personalized feedback from the judges, like in the form of an email, where they get like a step-by-step thing of what the judge liked, what they didn't like, and it's you basically made a contact that way too. You can continue to email them and say, hey, and here's my work, or ask them questions.
Is this just altruistic? What's in it for you? Like, why did you start doing this? Like, did you see a problem you wanted to solve?
Yes,
We did,
We
yeah.
basically we were struggling so hard when we were trying to get jobs with the visas, and like I broke down and cried like multiple times in the process.
I don't doubt it.
It's stressful. And we've seen so many students struggle with, especially international students struggling with like how to just like getting feedback, winning awards. It's a process, so we wanted to help students any way we could. I mean, the contest isn't free. It's not. It's like, I think it's $10 it is $10 a person, and that's just like to help maintain the site. But we just wanted to help students because it's a struggle.
Is there a pro-international student bias in the judging?
No.
There's not.
Because our last winner is an international student. Priya Narayan won the last one, and she's just so good. And she's going to run up against that. I always feel actually really bad when the international students are really good, because like they get to the end of the program and it's sort of like, I put my hand on their shoulder. I'm like, well, now you've got like another hill to climb that agencies aren't willing to sort of support you to walk up sometimes.
And it's also like you're also against the clock, because a lot of times you can only be in the country for a certain amount of time once you graduate. So you're kind of like running to find a job, while all the non-international students, like, they have a little bit more, obviously they can take a little bit more time if they want to, or if they can afford to, I guess. But
Priya's kind of a genius, by the way. I think we also had a runner-up. I think Juan Garza and someone else were runners-up that's awesome. That one too. So yeah, we did. I could tell you the students at the circus, it's on their radar.
Cleaned up.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
No, but back to the question about what's in it for you. I mean, have you gotten any press or laudits? Is that a word? Kudos?
Some kudos. We got some kudos from Adweek picked it up like.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
And then
pretty
Digiday
soon
picked
into
us.
it.
Yeah.
Digiday, yeah, we've been on We Are Next. Mostly it's been awesome actually, just like finding people like
Word
you,
of
or
mouth
partnering with people and like meeting. We've met a lot of new people from it who we definitely wouldn't have if
It aligns well with. I just interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No.
It aligns well with what my role now is sort of. I think of myself as a professional mentor, and it also aligns well with We Are Next. And I think that these really amazing resources that are available for students from all programs, from all levels, it's awesome.
It
It's
is
really, really awesome.
I know, and we didn't know that was out there until we started this. I actually wish we had known like when we were students, it could have helped.
We Are Next is amazing.
Yeah,
and
it really is.
I learned from those emails. I get those emails and I love them. They're really, really, really
Yeah.
smart. So, are you guys? Can you get back to you guys for a second? Are you excited about? Are you excited about starting at Spotify? Is there any trepidation in the new move? No.
No, I guess I'm excited to learn like how it actually works, because I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I don't fully know yet. I'm excited for the free lunch and breakfast.
I'd be excited for the free Spotify Premium.
But they haven't told me if I get free Spotify Premium. I'm assuming I do, but
What are you going to ask for, like $120 raise to pay for the year?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's not that big a deal. It's not that much money.
no.
So there's a question that I ask senior level people. You guys have been out of school for like all of friggin' 4 years, but I'm going to ask the question anyway for both of you. So what? And I have a sense of the answer, but what is it about you, Kat, personally, that you think has served you well? What personal trait of yours do you think is that you lean on and you go to that you think has helped you so far?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think that there's something in, I don't know if this sounds braggy, but
It's supposed to be braggy.
Okay, I think there's something in being kind or nice
That's
because
really big.
there's a lot of no, there's not a lot, but there's
some competitive cutthroats
There's
out there.
competitive people.
There are people who have a construct in their mind that this is a zero-sum game, but your success means my failure, and if you do well, then that automatically means
completely
that I did not do so well.
There's a lot of egos too in this industry. There's I think trying to keep your ego in check is important.
Well, how do you deal with people that just are wrong or stupid?
It's just so wrong or stupid.
No, and maybe maybe no one's wrong or stupid, but they totally differ with what you believe or that don't see things your way. How does a nice person handle that? Because I'd love to know. I'd love to know what to do.
What do I do? Help me.
It's so funny. I was talking about somebody today that I said, because this person disagreed with me, I actually said to my friend Aaron, I said that they're wrong. It's like, that's not good. I'm not proud of that, but they're not wrong.
Interesting. They're not. You don't think they were wrong, or do you think they were wrong?
No, I know they're wrong,
Okay.
but the point is, I don't have a right to say they're wrong.
Okay.
If they differ in opinion than me, why am I the fucking right one? It's funny.
Sure.
I had this. So I'll tell you a story. I don't know if I told this before. So a designer and I had this idea. I had a partner at school. It was a student, a really good designer, maybe an art director. That we were going to come up with this poster, this infographic. That was the 50-something's guide to social media.
Okay.
And it's about how your parents, when you post something on Facebook, they tend to underneath it say something totally unrelated, like, so are you feeling better? I know you were sick last week. Or a friend would say, let's get together about some post about something totally unrelated. So we came up with, we had a whole Google Doc full of all this stuff, right? I know I've told this on the podcast. I'm sorry if the listeners heard it. I'm remembering now that I told the story. So I had this whole list, and we were going to do this thing. And I come home and I tell my wife, I also met her in ad school. We've been together for 27 years, married 25 years. And I told her about this. I said, this is going to be really funny. And I said, it's the 50-something's guide to social media. It's all about these ways we misuse Facebook and all this stuff. And she says, who the fuck are you to tell people how to use Facebook?
Oh,
It's like, what makes you right? That's how they use it. That's how they use it. So to me, it's sort of like, you talk about not having an ego, people with egos, I got to get out of my own way. So for me, it's like, oh my God.
right.
You are right.
It's a really good point. She said, you look like an asshole. So how do you deal with people that you disagree? How do you deal with people that you disagree with? That's not mine. Whose was that? Oh, that was. I'm sorry.
That was you.
That was my son. How do you deal with people?
I don't think, or maybe some. Advertising's very subjective. I don't think I've ever been like, this is completely wrong. I know I've definitely thought, I don't like this idea, or I don't think this is as good an idea as it could be, or I don't agree with your perspective. I think if I don't agree, I will say I disagree. Although that's been a journey, I think, for me, as you know.
To be able to say you
to
disagree?
be able to be like, I disagree, because I feel like I do.
That's what. By the way, I think that's what they're paying you for.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not there to be quiet.
Yeah. No. I think though, I'll just come with more ideas. Like if it is a case where we're just concepting and if somebody has an idea that I don't think it's a great idea, I'll just come with more things that I think are better, and just keep bringing ideas or keep bringing things to the table. But yeah, I think I've learned to now be like, no, I don't think this is great. I think it could be better like this, but just doing it in a nice way.
Yeah, you're nice. That's a great trait. It's a great trait.
Yeah.
Vig, what do you think it is about you that's been a good tool, a good weapon in your arsenal?
Thankfully, she went first, so I had a quick
Minute to
minute to think about it.
Yeah.
I think my attribute that has helped me so far is adaptability, and like I adapt to situations. Mostly because I'm not from here, and I have no reference of anything at all. Like I wouldn't call it culture shock because I did study.
But it's forced cultural awareness.
Yeah.
And I always think that, like, this is a whole tangent I can go on, but I feel like the reason why the marginalized in our society are always the most vocal about wrongs is because they are aware of the differences, and they're conscious and aware of society's faults, and people that are in a privileged minority, which this conversation would just be Americans who don't have to think about culture. They're not forced to be thoughtful about the things that they make and the things that they do, whereas someone coming from another perspective not only has the value of their perspective, but also has the power and the obligation to understand this culture. So now it becomes academic and becomes a conscious, psychological sort of task. And I think that's really, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I guess yeah.
No, but I think that you saying that adaptability is a positive trait, I would have to say is a very powerful.
No, we were literally talking about this yesterday, and she was like, "Are you like sad that you can like you don't have like I'm from India, but in like one state of India, which we speak Tamil. I'm from Tamil Nadu, and like." You don't get to speak that language to anyone, and are you sad that you're losing that, or like are you losing that culture? And
It's a great question.
How I felt was like I don't think I'll ever be able to lose that because it's ingrained in my DNA,
Baked in, right?
But like I how I see, because like I kind of just think in English right now all the time in my head.
Are you
as well.
educated in English?
I mean, yes. I mean, the school is English medium schools, yeah. But you have to learn the other languages as well. So I know like 4 languages. So how I see it is it's just you're learning a different persona. Like you're just downloading it so you can switch between like I don't know mindsets whenever you want.
It's like being an advertising person with like a superpower.
Yeah, it is.
Because our job is to change personas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's badass, man.
I mean, it sounds badass, but it's basically a survival trait.
No, but
at this point, because like I didn't know anything about comedy, or I didn't know anything about art or anything, and I had to like pretend that I knew in meetings and stuff, and just go home and like, oh shit, I need to like download or like learn about these things. Like I didn't know what SNL was. Like what the fuck is SNL? Like and then I had to like watch all of SNL.
I was talking about earlier, Natabutli Kulpitak, and he grew up in Thailand. He's a Chinese Thai, and he's like a massive NBA fan. So like his connection to American culture was that, and like he just has this way of kind of. That's sort of his That's sort of almost like the stream that goes right into American culture, where he can kind of find his way in. Does that resonate at all?
Yes, definitely. Like I support a team called Liverpool.
Wow, what a time to be a Liverpool
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Listeners don't know this, but like we don't know yet who has won the Champions League. we only know that Liverpool scored 4 to get there.
Are you a Liverpool fan?
I'm a huge football fan, but I'm a neutral when it comes to Champions League and Premier League. I'm at Atlanta United. You can't see it on my phone.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So go ahead with Liverpool. That's your cultural stream.
Yeah. So I guess I'm like that was my into culture, but
to Western
not,
cultures.
Yeah. Personally, Western culture. But I also tried to like when I was in India, I kind of felt like an outcast almost because like I didn't watch.
Because they're all Man U fans.
No, that is also true, but mostly about like culture, as in like everyone went to watch like Bollywood movies and like shows and whatever, and I was like, I want to download everything that's Western. Like I watched The Wire religiously, and I saw Nickelodeon like back to back SpongeBob, and I mean songs. All I knew was Top 40. I thought those were cool songs until I came here, and I found out it's all tacky.
Right,
like,
I'm glad you've been reformed.
But that's what I meant by like adaptability, and you're learning new things, and you're like learning personas, and and like now it's I don't. the downside of that is like I don't know if I have my own like favorites. Everything feels like it's just more to learn and more to see and like more curiosity to the world.
Great.
So it's just which is a good thing and a bad thing as well, because you're not like passionate about like, oh my god, I love rock music, you know, like
right,
everything is like new and I want to learn. Oh, this is I've been listening to rap for the last year, and then before that, like
you like it?
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
I it's just new things that you keep learning.
That's cool.
So
in your experience as a professional and doing young shits and just as a human being, if I'm like just finishing my first of 2 years at ad school, what piece of advice do you give a student who's trying to figure out their first/next steps? Ooh. Is there any advice? I often ask this question, like, what would you tell yourself when you got out of school? But I want to know. I want to know if maybe you could answer it either way. Like, one thing I do ask is, if you knowing what you know now, what would you whisper in young Kat or young Vig's ear? But maybe it's that question. Maybe it's like what you would tell somebody.
Yeah. Oh, that's hard. There's so many things. I guess like what we did of reaching out to as many of your contacts as you can, like utilizing the people that you know, but also going to networking events, like I guess using your contacts is really, really important. And then if you do get an internship or I guess for us, like when we had that first internship, we spent the entire time just like bothering all the creatives and being like, do you need help with this project? Do you need help with this thing? Do you, because then we were working initially with Felix Richter, like pretty much us and him were working together only on one project, and he was like, I'm not the only one who's going to be able to hire you. Like, it's not just up to me. You need to go and everyone needs to know you. So I guess just like trying to get as much work as possible. And it's also good for you because you're getting practice in like the industry.
I think that's really important, because I think you don't realize when you get out of school that this is the first time that you're in charge of it. Like, there's no curriculum and nothing else is going to take care of you. You kind of have to take care of yourself and write your own path in a way.
Yeah. I know. It's interesting too, because also when you're in school, it is a little bit more free in the sense that you can, like, school was the time when you can, like, do whatever. You're your own boss. You can do the project however you want. No one is going to be like, hey, you need to change it, or the client doesn't like it. You need to kill this, or it's dead now. So I guess going into the workplace, and I guess it was good, though, that we didn't know that it was... When we went to Droga, we were, like, so excited. We were like, this is going to be great. We're gonna make so much work. And I think you have to go in with that attitude. And then slowly you start to realize, like, oh, no, let's calm down. Like, clients are going to kill things. This isn't going to be...
Yeah.
But it's good to have that like excited energy and that optimism, which I think from doing Young Shits and like doing one-on-ones with students, we've seen so many students just be so excited, and it's great to see that. I don't know how I got there, but
Vig, where are you in birth order in your family?
Sorry, say that. Birth order? I'm the youngest of three.
Yeah, that's why you sit there and let her answer first.
Yeah,
I'm the oldest.
She's the first.
That's clearly obvious to me.
Yeah,
I really believe that no single thing determines personality more than birth order. I mean, you can throw whatever you believe in, what zodiac or all that other stuff. Birth order is profound. Whatever. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense now. Everything's just clear.
It's like, I'm just gonna lay low. Let her answer first. Whatever she does wrong, I'll do something different.
I mean, it's worked out so far.
It will continue to. It's a good thing.
What I would say, a couple of things, I guess. Like, one thing might be very hard. I would say I heard a talk of a photographer who came to Droga 5, Platon. And he lived by these words or something, or he saw this poster somewhere. It's a small quote, which is, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" Like,
that's great.
So, if I had done that, it would have, a lot of things would have been different. You know, like I wish I raised my hand and asked a question. I wish I'd walked up to that photographer and talked to him.
Nobody thinks you're the idiot you think you are.
Yeah,
right.
It's a small thing, but if that little thing that kind of holds you back, if you change it, it opens a lot of doors. Like no one, like everyone like wants to talk. It's just like at like an advertising event, and like there's this famous person that you like, and he made great work, and you're like afraid, like, oh, he won't talk to me. He's too famous, or he's too good. And like why would he talk to me? Like you'll never know until you go and talk to them.
That's exactly
so
right.
Like that little anxiety and insecurity. It sounds easy to say, like, oh yeah, just screw that fear and just go walk up and talk to him. Like it's very hard, and I am still afraid, and I like you just said, I kind of hold back and I'm silent.
And watch, right?
Yeah, like I'm more of a silent, introverted, like talk only needed, like kind of guy. So it is. I'm still struggling with that as well, but I wish I started working on it earlier, but yeah.
And I wish I could shut the fuck up sometimes.
Each his own.
We all have ours.
It's crazy. All right, so listeners, I'm going to give you guys some emails. You can, first of all, you can use your Googler. The names of my guests are in the title of the show, so you can use the internet to find them. But just in case you have old school technology like a pencil, Kat's email is kvas, 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 09. This is a user-friendly email address. Kvas, Ke09 at gmail.com. And Vig's is get to Vignesh. Like, get to Vignesh. Like, this is how you get to Vignesh at Gmail. I think it's a pretty conceptual email address.
Yeah.
You can reach me at danspodcast@mac.com. Make sure you like the Facebook page where there are links. Balsarville.com also has pictures. And thank you for listening. Guys, thanks so much for this conversation.
Thank you for having us.
It wasn't hard, right?
I just want to say that we're very embarrassed about those emails. Put it out there again.
Well, Kvas,
Mine is terrible.
What is Kvaski? What is the Ke?
It's, I think,
Kvas and then Catherine.
And then Catherine
and then-
Erica. My
that's-
middle name is Erica.
It's not better. That doesn't make it
And then
better.
09 is the year I started university. So it's very confusing.
Yeah, it's nothing to
Friggin-
do with her birthday. Nothing.
It's alphabet soup that fell on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listeners, thank you. We'll see you again soon. Bye.